This is an irregularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning and Planning Committee because we have an opportunity to review appointments that have been made by the mayor. And as you know, we need to act as a member, as the full council on them within a limited period of time, either up or down. And so we schedule this meeting to take those appointees up. If you look at the agenda, you will see that most of them relate to the Berto Advisory Commission, and then the others relate to Conservation and Historic. But at the outset, I just want to mention a couple of things to the members of the committee. We're going to have one member of the Berto Advisory Committee appointee, a designate, could not attend tonight. And so we're having a special meeting before the city council at 7 o'clock on Monday before the council meeting. But as part of that agenda, we have a number of items which were held earlier in the term that seemed appropriate either to NAN or to recommend for redocketing in the new term, but we don't anticipate having time to manage and do justice to this term. So we will take those up, and as you see the agenda come before you, please take a look at those because if there's something that we need to know, we just want to do the conversation around process. We're not going to discuss any of those as a matter of substance. And then the second point I want to mention at the outset is that because of the number of items we still need to deal with and the way we may want to deal with them, I'd ask members of the committee to keep in mind the opportunity to meet on the 5th Monday of September, which is the 29th. Now, this is right after a meeting we're going to be on Thursday, but I think it's important that we try and front load our opportunities so that as we get deeper into the fall term, we're not scrambling to get things done and out to the full council. So we're going to have a conversation with the planning department, the vice chair and I tomorrow to look at our agendas and try and figure out how we can make this all work so that we can get our work done. But I want to alert you to those things at the outset. Now, the other point I want to mention, yes.
I just want to clarify, it's an appointment to the Newton Historical Commission that we'll hear on August 11th, not a Berto appointment.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. My apologies. Yes, that's right. As you can see, we have a very able clerk, and I'm grateful to her for her assistance. Councilor Wright, you had your hand up.
What was the date you said that we may have a meeting in September?
The 29th which is the 5th Monday. You know, occasionally we have a 5th Monday, and it seemed to be prudent to try and hold on to that rather than try and get a special night for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And we'll confirm that after the meeting with the planning department tomorrow afternoon. We have our sort of planning for the meetings we're going to have and try and sort that out in advance. Any other questions about our process so far? So thank you very much. Now, Mr. Neidman is here, I believe. Yes, Mr. Neidman is asked for an opportunity to be heard at the outset to set a context for these appointees. And I've asked the clerk, Ms. Katie, to please provide to us the language from the ordinance that relating to Berto, relating to the advisory commission, because it plays a very important role. As you may remember, we passed a framework for all of this, but left a lot of the details up to the process of regulatory decision-making, and that decision-making is informed largely by the advisory committee. And the advisory committee is appointed 4 members by the mayor, 4 members by the council, and 1 by the Energy Commission. As far as I know, Ms. Holden could correct us, this is the first round of appointees. So there's no objection.
The second.
Yeah.
The president's already made all of his appointments.
I'm sorry, apologies again. This is a vacation rewind. Anyway, we'll get it done. But what I wanted to ask is that Mr. Knight may be allowed to say a few words at the outset, set the context for what he wants to present to us. Not agreeable? Okay, Mr. Neidman?
Thank you, Chair. I just thought it might be welcome or helpful if I just said a couple words about kind of how we were seeing the advisory commission process kind of play out what we were planning for on the staff side. But the first update I wanted to share is that just last week, our new Berto administrator, Darius Zagripsia Bailey, just started with the city, which we're very excited about. He came to us from Boston, Berto, where he worked for about 2 years. So he's got a ton of experience working with kind of an actually existing Berto program with a building stock much larger and in many cases more complicated than ours. So we're very lucky to have him. We'll be getting him up to speed kind of over the next month, basically. The advisory commission by ordinance is established in order to provide input and make recommendations and to advise the Berto administrator with respect to the establishment of regulations. So President Laredo, you've already approved his 4 appointments, pending Mayor Fuller's appointments, as well as the Energy Commission's appointment being finalized. We'll have the full group ready to go. Our plan has been, and it remains, to have the first meeting of the group mid-September or thereabouts, to convene the group and then have that group meet regularly at a frequency that makes sense. That might be bi-weekly or so through the fall into winter, hopefully getting established January or thereabouts, where we can come brief the council on that, and then those regulations going into effect 3 months later. That's also by ordinance, that kind of process there. Our plan, what we're working on and have been through the summer here, is to kind of develop an approach that makes sense for Newton Berto, our version, as well as our building stock, on all kind of the key main issues to be taken up in the regulations. So once we have the advisory commission established, we'll come topic by topic to the commission. We'll present draft wording, as well as questions where we're needing or especially desirous of feedback and input, and we'll try to revise iteratively as we go, to where hopefully we'll move through things in a speedy way, but taking the time we need. We think that it probably will make sense to have a couple of those meetings be functionally public hearings, where we can get a little bit broader input. Maybe that's on like the hardship compliance plans. I can think of a couple other things that might be a little bit hairier, but we'll figure that out as we go. And with that, I just don't want to take too much time. So thanks for the chance to kind of set the stage. I'll be hanging around for the conversation tonight. So if there's any other questions about that.
I just want to recognize the vice chair, who's really done the laboring or for the leadership of the committee on this matter. And again, my apologies for getting my facts mixed up, but Councilor Oliver.
Great, thank you, Chair. Just real quickly, Mr. Nyman, can you just kind of remind us too of some of we have dates that are upcoming for the first submissions, right? Maybe just like 10 seconds worth of like when are those submissions coming in would be helpful.
Yeah, so our first big date is September 15th this year, a little over a month from now. Our first 48 buildings, those are the buildings over 100,000 square feet commercial, have their reporting due. We've been thinking of this kind of as our trial year, kind of where it's at 48 buildings, and that's, you know, maybe 35 separate building owners. A good handful of those buildings are of those owners own multiple buildings. So it's a small manageable group that we can really just try to work out the kinks of the process, have them report. And then we'll have the remaining almost 340 coming on next year with the reporting due next September 15th. The first year for emission standard compliance, where you have to actually meet an emissions standard, is 2027. That's for this same round of buildings that's reporting this year, the 100,000 square foot commercial. And the reporting for that will be in 2028. So you'll be reporting the 2027 energy use data 2028. So our goal with regulations is really to have a good set of regulations in effect early next calendar year so that we can then turn to both supporting the much larger group of building owners that may have some more challenges with reporting their energy use next September, as well as kind of getting all those resources in place to be able to support building owners who maybe are having to make some changes in their building around energy efficiency to meet that first year of emission standards. So we think kind of the timeline as it is sets us up to do all that, but that's the timeline at least, yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's all I had, Chair. I just wanted to make sure we reminded people when the data was coming in. But thank you.
And just last question, Ms. Nyman, do you know about the timing of the Energy Commission for its appointee?
I believe that they have chosen who they will be appointing, and I think they were in touch with President Laredo, and so I think that's going to be happening any day now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it might be helpful as part of the report, Ms. Holden, for this meeting, just to attach a copy of the Bordeaux ordinance, and also if you've worked out a timeline, Mr. Neidman, like you've described, that just sort of, we saw one earlier in the process of doing the ordinance, but an updated one for everybody, I think that would be helpful, just so to remind everyone of just what you've gone through.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. And there's some other dates in there as well that might the committee might find. You know, there's the date from when regulations get submitted and we brief you, and then there's a 1 month public comment period, and there's a 3 month period before they go into effect. So if you want, I can kind of lay out all those relevant dates. If
I think that would be helpful, just so we can keep it in mind for.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, I think that does it. Anyone else on the committee? Otherwise, if not, I think we can turn to our first appointee. And again, I have to get to a different screen. Hang on a minute. This is Mr. Gloria. Mr. Gloria, the problem with Zoom, and I can look at the screen, but I can't look at you. So I'm going to turn the screen off and then come back. All right. Now, welcome. We're glad to have you here. And we have your resume. Is there anything you would like to say to the committee in advance of comments or questions from members of the committee?
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be on this committee. It's very important that we transition in a manner that is equitable, a manner that meets the needs of businesses and the environment. I predominantly work in the commercial sector. I, on a regular basis, review enterprise level greenhouse gas emissions for a variety of different medium to large size entities, such as Shintech, which is one of the largest PVC manufacturers in Louisiana and Texas. I do reviews of product level environmental product declarations, or what we call environmental footprints, for literally hundreds, if not thousands, of products annually, basic materials, concrete to steel, wood products, and anything else that goes into businesses. So I hope I can contribute as much as I can in the sense of someone who works in the commercial sector and balancing, again, business interests with environmental goals that we have. And again, it's an honor to be part of this advisory committee.
Okay, thank you very much. Open to members of the committee. Let me just recognize everybody now. I think I can see the gallery completely. We have Councilor Wright, whose hand went up, and I'll recognize you first, and then Councilor Albright is here, and also Councilor Krinsman, I think Councilor Getz, Councilor Kalis, Councilor Danberg. We're also joined by Councilor Maliki, not a member of the committee, but welcome. The Vice Chair is here, Councilor Oliver. Have I missed anybody? I think that's it. First, Councilor Wright, I think you had the first question.
Thank you, Mr. Gloria. And your resume is very impressive, and I think it would be very helpful on this Bordeaux, but thank you for volunteering and with your background and experience.
Okay. Counselor Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I didn't realize, Mr. Gloria, that we have Tufts in common between us. So I'm sure you went there a little after I did, but I didn't realize that you had all those Tufts credentials. And I've seen you in action on the Design Review Committee, and I'm impressed with the way that you've done that work over the years. From your work in the commercial sector, I'm just curious, what do you think is going to be the response? I know that they know this is coming, but I'm curious to hear what you think is the response.
That's a good question. A couple of things I think are that the responses will be measured in terms of what is predictable. In other words, if we are creating policy and requirements that are clear, concise, unambiguous, and work and strive to make them as unambiguous as possible. In other words, dates that are held to the initial proposals, the transition periods as everyone expects them, if you will, a fair playing field. I think is something that is incredibly important for industries and commercial entities. They need stability to plan and then resources that are available to them to solve issues. As I look at the Boston Berto, one of the things that struck me is that the tenants aren't held as accountable as the owners of the buildings. And so we have an interrelationship between tenants and the owners of the buildings. And how that plays out in terms of supporting the owners of the buildings, in terms of managing tenants, as well as a community, making sure that we're not creating incentives for the tenants to seek other places to operate their businesses, particularly if they are energy intensive. So these are some of the issues I see. And one other issue I want to look at a little bit more deeply is energy is an interesting KPI. Where the circles I operate in, emissions reporting is one thing. It gives you information associated with the intensity of, again, contributions to climate change. But energy has other things associated with it that tell competitors and others what is the nature of your business. And so I think that there needs to be a conversation about disclosure and what is public and what is held private. That may be somewhat of a provocative statement, but if we have a system that is built on trust in terms of reporting emissions, which is the most important thing, then we need to balance that with company or business confidential information that could be used in other forms. So some of the things that we'll get into, I'm sure, in greater detail, but those are some of the things that popped out as me as, again, dealing with a wide range of commercial clients and what may be some of their concerns.
Thank you very much for that very informative answer. I really appreciate it. And you raised things that I hadn't thought about before, like perhaps the thought of losing tenants because of it. So I appreciate that you're going to be on this committee. Thank you very much.
It must be the Tufts connection.
Yeah.
I think Councilor Getz had her hand up. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you. I really appreciate you stepping up because it sounds as if you both have expertise as well as field experience. But I, sort of dovetailing with Councilor Albright's comments, I'm sort of seeing that we need to sort of be very realistic about now and what's coming. So do you have any thoughts regarding, the shift and the change that's happening right now? In terms of support for alternative energy sources and, that we're going to have to work out moving in this direction through these times.
Yeah, I think that, Rena, I think that touches on my point about predictability and aspects of companies and entities, owners of real estate that operate in our community. as much as we can to mitigate the uncertainties that are going on outside of Newton in terms of energy prices, regulations in general at the federal level that may affect state level requirements. These are all the things that we need to consider. And as best we can, I'm sure that many of you who worked on policy, we try to do the best we can to make them evergreen. In other words, things that are not going to be too tied to maybe some ephemeral things that are happening in current state, that we need to think, near term, midterm, and long term. I know it's a general answer to your question, but creating, again, predictability as much as we can is I see is what we need to do. And of course, we're seeing all sorts of shifts in terms of if you will, subsidies in a variety of different directions, particularly as it relates to renewable energy research and development. But yet we have some large economic levers still working our advantage. At the end of the day, energy costs money. And I know that Peter Bear is a big part of this as well. It's great to see him here. And that, that's one of the things about global warming potential, or emissions, I should say, has that co-benefit, is that typically when you reduce the intensity of your emissions, you are going to save money. That's typically what happens. Maybe in the long run that it needs to resolve, but in the short run, there may be some, of course, capital investments that make it challenging and how we mitigate that. But by and large, we have that general incentive that works to our advantage.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Anybody have a motion on this candidate?
I don't think you actually read the item into the record.
Thank you again, Ms. Holden. This is the part of the vacation buzz. So let's do it. Let me get to the problem is looking at pictures in the record. I'm not used to being all in. Councilor Krentzman is in his committee is far more experienced in this. This is item 20625, appointment of Tom Gloria to the Berdo Advisory Commission. Her Honor, the Mayor appointing Tom Gloria, 35 Bracebridge Road, Newton Center, to the Berdo Advisory Commission for a term of office to expire 1 year following adoption of the Berdo regulations, 9/12/2025. So that's the item. Thank you, Ms. Holden. Now, if I can get back to the picture. Okay, there we are. Councilor Danberg.
Thank you very much, Councilor Baker. I want to thank Mr. Gloria for his willingness to step up. We certainly appreciate the time that you're willing to spend, and I know it's going to be a lot. Thank you in advance. We will be looking forward to having you on this committee. And our family is quadruple jumbo, so welcome to the family. Thank you, and I look forward to participating in the vote.
So are you prepared? Are you making a motion?
I will move approval.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Danberg has moved approval. All those in favor will say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Mr. Gloria, you know the process here. We recommend to the council votes at the next meeting. Customarily, the recommendations of the committee carry great weight, but you never know. But we hope that it will be successful, and thank you very much for your willingness to come forward and serve in this capacity.
All right. Thanks to everyone. It's an honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then let me go back to the next. The next item is item 20725. Let's see if I can read this at the same time. This is the appointment of Deb Crosley to the Berdo Advisory Commission. Her Honor, the Mayor appointing Deb Crosley, 26 Circuit Avenue, Newton, to the Berdo Advisory Commission for a term of office to expire 1 year following the adoption of the Berdo regulations. So Ms. Crosley, welcome. Let me come back to the picture.
I can unmute. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Would you like to say something?
I thought you were inviting me to say something.
Yes. Well,
May I say something?
Yes. Would you like to say
Thank
something?
you. Following Tom Gloria is challenging. I would so much look forward to working with him and with Peter Bearer, both of whom I know well. I know Peter very well, and others. I'm looking forward to meeting Kristen Avila. I am very interested in working with this group. Having worked on this item as a city councilor for several years, trying to move it through the zoning and planning agenda. And was only sorry I didn't get to vote for the item going forward. But I think the regulations are extremely important. I completely agree with Mr. Gloria. We had a few words on email over the week about this, but I think that it's extremely important to regulate with compassion and understanding about all of the stakeholders who are involved in this process, and in this uncertain time, as Ms. Getz said, where incentive programs, grants, and other things that would help to move the industry forward are in peril. So I think the regulatory framework has to be very clear about where the thresholds need to be in order to mitigate the impacts or unfortunate impacts on business owners, and how to smooth out the transition for them to the best degree possible. Notwithstanding that this is the transition is extremely important. We're just going to be more challenged than we might have been otherwise, given the current circumstances in at our federal government. So I'm interested professionally and personally in working with this team. And I really look forward to all that I would have to learn and contribute to the effort.
Good, thank you. Questions, comments? Councilor Danberg and then Councilor Albright.
Yes, thank you. And former Councilor Crossley, I want to say thank you very much for stepping up to the plate and being willing to serve on this important committee, along with the others. Deb Crossley, as a city councilor, her first act was to lobby and get passed the stretch code. We were the first community in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to pass the stretch code, and it's thanks to Ms. Crossley. So I have no doubt that you will be a wonderful contributing member to this commission, and when the time comes, I am happy to move for approval.
Thank you. Councilor Albright.
So I think I envy you, former Councilor Crossley, because you not only got to help shepherd this through the council, but now you get to actually work on it and see the fruits of your labors. So I want to thank you for being willing to do that and to take the next step in this process and work with this inspiring group of people to get this thing done. So thank you very much for being willing to do it.
Okay. Other questions, comments, anybody, members of the committee? If not,
Say one more thing. If
yes,
I'm sorry, I didn't earlier. I see that Ann Berwick's name is in the gallery. I'm assuming she's listening in, and I should have mentioned how fabulous it has been, and it was when I was a city councilor, for all of the years that she was serving as the co-director of sustainability, to work with Ann. Quietly brilliant woman with a persistent drive that is very unusual, and Newton is so lucky to have her, and I am so looking forward to working with her again.
Well, the feelings go both ways.
welcome. We're glad to have you. Councilor Krinsman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to add my voice to the accolades for Councilor Crosby, former Councilor Crossley. Certainly an expert in these areas. I think we've got a lot of brain power on the call right now and a lot of expertise that is going to be very valuable for this commission. I think Deb Crossley is very much in line with those. We'll do a great job on this commission, and I look forward to supporting this.
Thank you. Councilor Getz.
I actually, Vicky, where are you? I actually will move approval. She's Ward 5. So if I can move approval for her nomination.
Go right
Councilor
ahead,
Getz,
I will see.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Getz. Councilor Getz has moved approval. Any good discussion? If not, all those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Okay, let me go back to, excuse me, I'll just disappear for a second in I get to the agenda. And the next appointee is 20825. Her Honor, the Mayor appointing Peter Bearer, 60 Endicott Street, Newton, as a member of the Berto Advisory Commission for a term of office to expire 1 year following adoption of the Berto regulations. So come back if I can do this.
I'm here.
Yeah, there you are. Excuse me, I'm just dealing with technology. Apologies. I can read and I can see, but I can't do both at the same time. All right. Mr. Bearer, would you like to say anything?
Very briefly, it would be an honor to serve if I'm approved. I think Berto is a uniquely, not the only place doing it, but it's a terrific way to address our climate challenges. And what's terrific about it is that it's not prescriptive. Every building owner gets to do it their own way, and they can figure it out as technology changes and things move ahead. It's very flexible, and I think it's just a terrific concept, and I'm so glad that Newton has adopted it, and I look forward to serving on the committee if I'm approved.
Thank you. Councilor Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I've gotten to know Mr. Bearer a little bit as the chair of the Public Facilities Committee, because he's always looking over our shoulder to make sure that we are doing our work properly, and I appreciate that. But I do have a question for you. I didn't realize that you have a background working in the area of hospitals. And one of the concerns that has always seems to pop up is what will happen to the Newton Wellesley Hospital. So I was wondering what your thoughts are about that.
Well, we're going to follow, I think our job in the commission is to follow whatever the council has, regulated. And I think Berto excludes Newton Wellesley Hospital, so it's not within our range. I think it would be terrific if it could be incorporated at some future time. And I'll just share with you my dream that that if the hospital does need to get off fossil fuels, that there's an enormous golf course right across Route 16, which would be a terrific ground source location for a heat pump installation. So that's just Peter's personal dream, but I think it's a route that could be followed.
Well, I'm awfully glad that you answered the question that way, because you and I are working together on another project with National Grid and trying to get us off gas. And, that could be my dream as well. So let's see if we can make it all of our dreams. Thank you very much.
Councilor Danberg.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to chime in here. And thank you also for being willing to serve. And I agree with your assessment of the golf course, and I would say it would be a great place for geothermal too.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions? Again, you've been an able servant of the community for some time, Mr. Bearer, in a variety of ways. So the fact that you're willing to play again is remarkable.
And I'm happy to move approval.
Okay. Councilor Danberg has moved approval. All those in favor will say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Okay. And let me go back to the docket. And now the next appointment is Kristen Avila. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but correct me if I'm not. For honor, the mayor appointing Kristen Avila to the Berto Advisory Commission for a term of office to expire 1 year following adoption of the Berto regulations. So let me get back to the image. Okay, and Ms. Avila. You're muted, so let's see if we can unmute you. Can you mute her, Ms. Holden? There we go.
Hi, good evening. Hello, counselors. My name's Kristen Avila. I work for Northland, and I was very excited when the opportunity to join this commission was presented to me. I have worked for Northland since 2014. I primarily was working on 2 of our Boston properties where we have been Berto Boston reporters since the beginning. I have 1 building that we are now in our emissions year, and next year when we report, that building in Boston will be held to the standards that they set in Berto 2.0. I have another building that just started reporting. They won't have their standards until 2030. I was eager to be a part of this because I think it's a very important initiative. And with my company expanding in the city on top of the number of buildings that we already have, I wanted to be involved in this effort. Also, I can share my perspective. I'm not sure if you have any experience with participating in Berto, but there will definitely be people who think that it might be onerous, and I'm happy to talk to anyone about that process, the different pros and cons of the portfolio manager. It's just been a journey with the Boston system, and now we have the Commonwealth having the large building reporting, and then we have the Newton Berto, and I am happy to help out in any way I can. And following that group, I would be very eager to work with this group of people who all seem to bring a lot of important experience to the effort.
Councilor Albright.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to work on this, having worked in Boston and now on this. It's very helpful to have that experience. I'm curious, and I know that we don't have the multi-family buildings involved in Berto right now, but as with your experience in Northland and with your experience in Berto, as this goes along in the next year or 2, I'd love for you and any others from this committee to come back to us and tell us what would the experience be if it were to be spread into the residential realm. You know, would it be horrible? Would it be the right thing? Would it be the wrong thing? Should the rules be different? You know, I would love to hear from you as time goes along about that issue. So thank you for being willing to be part of this.
I can definitely do that. You're welcome.
Wait a minute. Councilor Oliver. Sorry, I muted myself.
Great, thank you, Chair. So I will share in Councilor Albright's thank you for being willing to serve and help us kind of establish the regulations for Berto. I only came in at the end of the process, is more than happy to kind of help, bring this through committee. I particularly think that after hearing the 4 of our appointees tonight speak on their particular outlook and experience with Berto, I'm really excited to see the work that comes together from this group. And I did notice in our packet that since there was no part of town listed for Ms. Ms. Avila's address, I'd be happy to move approval when the time is right. But thank you, Chair.
Ms. Avila, just to be clear, you're not a resident of Newton, all right?
Not currently. NND, the property that my company is developing, is a place that I had planned to be living under the probable original timeline. I will continue to be involved in that property, and we do like to have people living on site when they are involved in management when possible. And so when there is an apartment available there, I was planning on relocating.
I'm just, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, but
All the
clarifying
more
that-
so. We're
Right.
happy to move approval when the time is right, Chair.
Yeah, well, I just want to clarify that the ordinance does not require an appointee to be a resident of the city. So that this is not outside the scope of the ordinance. But we're grateful to you for being willing to serve, especially because of that.
Thank you.
And
Although I feel
okay.
like I am a resident, I spend an awful lot of time between the corporate office and our other commercial properties we have in town. I am finding Newton to be sort of like home as well. And then, of course, you know, our company's been headquartered here since the 70s.
Thank you. And Councilor Oliver, I think you've moved approval. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
If not, all those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The ayes have it. Again, thank you very much for your willingness to come forward. I'm going to thank you all for coming and participating. We're going to move to the other appointees. You're welcome to stay and listen in, but your appointment is not vulnerable if you decide to go have dinner. So at this point, and Mr. Knightman, thank you for coming and participating in that conversation as well. And Ms. Berwick is welcome anytime, as you know. I'm going to ask the vice chair if you would take over for a minute and run the meeting. Can you do that for me? I've been informed by my better half that my car light is on and I'd like the car to start tomorrow, so I better go out and find out why not. Anyway, I'll be right back.
Happy to help. No problem.
Thank you.
All right. So let's see here. I'll try and do my best two-screen maneuver here. All right, so our next item is 215-25, appointment of Sean, and forgive me if I go straight here. Is it Macamo? You'll let me know when you're unmuted there. An appointment to the Conservation Commission, term to expire September of 28. Current resident of 25 Groveland Street, Auburndale. Thank you, sir. I see you can unmute here. The floor is yours if you'd like to say a few words, about your appointment. Oh, I think you're still muted though.
No,
Or at
not
least
yet.
I can't hear him.
Not yet.
No.
Bear with me,
There you
There we
go.
go.
okay,
There we go.
are we better?
We got you.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Oliver, and hello, counselors, and apologies for that. A little bit about myself. I came to the Conservation Commission in early February, really not knowing a whole lot except for my love of nature and being in the woods, etc. And at first, I was an alternate, and I was a little bit taking it as, I'm enthusiastic and dedicated, and I have a lot to learn, but I'm going to really give this a shot. I was a little bit, there's a lot going on. Ultimately, I'm also, as much as I love the environment, nature, and everything, I'm also kind of one of these people that does say, yes, there are rules, there are laws, but if you have property, you should be able to, what's the infringement that government has on that? So I was finding that to be a little bit of a balance at the very beginning. And ultimately, it's really my my love of following the rules in the most pure form and what it's about at the Conservation Commission in Newton. That's the value that I think that I can bring is really taking it in its most pure form. And it's really, there's not a lot of authority, and most of it is just strictly around wetlands, but I've found it to be fascinating, and I'm enthusiastic to learn and participate as much as possible.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for that. We'll go to the committee here. Do we have any comments, questions, thoughts? Fantastic. Councilor Krinsman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Good to see you, Mr. McEnroe. I
Thanks.
think it's pretty clear to me that he has the experience, will do an excellent job on the committee, takes the role seriously and diligently. So I'm happy to move approval.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Nope. I think we are good. We have a motion to approve from Councilor Krinsman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Or abstentions? Fantastic. The ayes have it. Thank you, sir, for your willingness to serve. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to all the work that that you do on behalf of the city. Thank you again.
Thanks, Mr. Oliver. Thanks, Mr. Krinsman. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
More than welcome. Thank you. Moving right along, we have item 210-25, appointment of James Miller to the Auburndale Historic District Commission, also from Ward 4. Mr. Miller, if you would like to unmute and share any information or thoughts with us that you would like us to consider for your appointment. Still muted.
Oh, there I am.
There he is.
Good evening. My name is James Miller. I know several of you from past experiences, including Deb Crossley. I have lived in Auburndale 60 years, first on Bourne Street, and most recently the last 5 years as a resident of LaSalle Village. I have served as alternate member of the commission since May of 2024. Pressed into service often because we would have quorum challenges. I enjoy working with a very dedicated group of Auburndale folks, and the commission works well, and I am proud to serve with it to this point. I'm looking forward to being a permanent member of the commission.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. I see that we have a hand raised. Councilor Krinsman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Miller, very good to see you here. Glad to see that you were doing well. I think having put in his time as an alternate, it's time to get him off the bench, get him into the starting lineup. I think Mr. McEnroe appreciates an ice hockey lineup, so time to get him over the boards into the lineup as a full-time member of the commission. So I'm happy to move approval.
Great. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Baker.
So thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to leave the chair, vice chair in charge here because he's doing such a good job if he's willing. I just want to remind members of the committee, if it hadn't already been said, that Mr. Miller's service to the city is really quite extensive in terms of duration. And I recall you were the first planning director. Matter of fact, you were the planning department as it first was constituted. So having your willingness to come forward and serve in this capacity, I think is really wonderful. So
thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Wright.
Thank you. Just a quick question. So as an alternate, so you've been there and you've been pulled into service many times. What are the challenges you see on the Auburndale Historic Commission?
Well, the challenges include the place that I live in, the LaSalle Village, which when it comes, the commission is fully supportive of it. But when it comes for a vote, I have to recuse myself, or I do recuse myself. The other issues that we have before us that are very interesting are the redevelopment of the Walker Center, which is proceeding apace, I guess. And we have any number of truly remarkable historic homes in Auburndale. And each one brings its own challenges before the board. The board investigates very carefully, and I think its decisions have been wise. I've been honored to work with them, but we do need a full complement, and the the mayor has been good enough to, as Josh says, to bring me off the bench.
Thank you.
Great. All set?
Yes.
All right, great. We have a motion to approve, I believe, from Councilor Krinsman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any any no votes? Nope, fantastic. Any abstentions? Fabulous. The ayes have it. No votes is the technical term there, by the way.
Back to Councilor
Okay.
Baker.
Yeah, and I wasn't even on vacation. I don't know what my challenge is. Like, seriously, what's going on over here? Thank you, sir, Mr. Miller, for your time. I don't know if you're going to hang with us, but you're more than welcome to. And then I'll kind of just pass along the same instructions at the end here in a minute for our last three appointments. But our last item tonight is item 212-25, appointment of Travis Salters to the Newton Historical Commission. Wow, we are what is this? Four appointees from Ward 4 tonight? Fantastic. Look at Ward 4 go. All right. Mr. Salters, again, if you would like to take a few minutes, share some thoughts with us, anything you want us to consider, about your appointment.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, and I'll keep it short, but it's an honor to be considered for this position. Unlike Mr. Miller, I'm new to the Newton community. I moved to Auburndale last year, but I had been visiting Newton for the last 10 years. My wife is from here. Have grown very fond of it since I moved here, as you can tell. And it's a place where I look forward to, raising my family, and I thought it was important for me to become involved civically. And so I expressed my interest a few months back about ways that I can be involved, and recognizing that preservation is something that is really important to this community. And there are a wide variety of perspectives that I found over the last year or two when it comes to preservation and development. I feel like my perspective can bring some, a reasonable mind to make sure that all voices are heard. And the last thing I'll say is, prior to coming to Boston or coming to Newton, I lived in Atlanta for several years where I was a community organizer and in the school system. And one of the things I've found that was most important than my own personal beliefs and opinions was to be a listener and to really understand the perspectives of everybody in the community to make sure that everybody's heard. And that's something that I look forward to bringing to this commission.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Councilor Getz.
Okay, unfortunately, is there anybody from planning here, and or, law? Because I'm not seeing anybody, in the gallery.
No, I don't think there's anyone from the city with us right now.
Okay, because, there's a conflict here. The mayor's, submission letter was, suggesting that, Mr. Salters was to, serve as an alternate member of the Historic Commission. And then the docket item is, including or requesting as a member of the Historic Commission. So I don't know how we're going to reconcile that. Because it seems as if there is a conflict. And, she goes on in the letter to say that Mr. Salters will be completing Scott Friedman's tenure, which will end in March of 2028. So this needs to get resolved, I think. So I would move hold on this until, we resolve it, because I think that there's a conflict in the documents.
Can I?
Is that Councilor Baker?
Mr. Acting Chair, let me say, I would suggest if this would be a motion, because of the 60-day limit, I would recommend that if you're willing to move to advance the item subject to second call to get clarification of the status, because if it turns out that there's a fatal flaw, we can ask the matter be reconsidered, recommitted, and then refiled. But if it can be cured in the meantime by clarification between the docket and the letter from the mayor, we might be able to vote it in a timely way. So if that's agreeable to you, I would recommend that as opposed to holding the item.
Well, would it not just make more sense? When are we meeting again? I thought we were meeting relatively soon.
We're not meeting before unfortunately, I think we don't have enough time to act on this before the appointment runs out. If it's, in other words.
Well, it's saying the 60 days is September 12th.
We could add it to the August 11th agenda. We could hold it tonight and then add it to that agenda, and I can confirm what it should be.
Yeah, we could do it on Monday. And then
Yeah,
sort
That seems
we
to
just
make
need
sense,
we
right?
need to be resolving these.
Yeah, that's a
like
fair
here.
point.
Yeah.
That's a great suggestion, Ms. Holden. And that, Councilor Getz, would that work?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Absolutely fine. I just want to make sure that normally when new people come on the commission, they come in as alternates. And there is a docket item 1211-25 to move Mr. Friedman from an alternate to full. So I think those two need to happen. I'm surprised that his appointment was not prior to this one.
Okay, so then I yield it back to you, Mr. Vice Chair.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you, Counselor. It was a good catch. Excuse me, Counselor Getz. I suspect that what we're talking about here is a Scrivener's error of sorts, but we can get it straightened out. Because now that you pointed out, I do seem to recall that we moved Mr. Friedman's appointment from alternate to full voting member relatively recently. But anyway, Counselor Albright.
So I was just wondering if Mr. Salters is available to come back on Monday night.
Fair question, Mr. Salters?
This upcoming Monday, or is there a different day?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
7 o'clock. We're having a meeting.
I'll make it work. Yes.
Okay,
Great.
good.
We promise, I believe, to be brief.
Could I suggest maybe folks asking the substantive questions tonight while Mr. Salters is here, and if it's purely administrative or Scrivener's errors to resolve on Monday night, maybe he doesn't even need to come back?
That makes sense too.
Yep, I think that could make all the sense in the world as well.
Should I ask my question then?
Yeah, please, by all means, yes.
So, and I'm curious what your opinion is about a situation where a building is requested to be landmarked. And as I understand it, landmarking is somewhat of a burden for the owner of the building because there are certain requirements about what you can do when you want to renovate your building, windows and materials and so forth and so forth. So I'm wondering how you make a judgment about landmarking a building in light of those conflicting things that are going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly a fair question, and it's a difficult one to answer in the abstract. But I think applying a framework, assuming that there is a framework already in place, and if there's not, being a part of a team that develops one to make sure that we're being consistent across the board, and that it's not random solutions to particular projects. Is one way to go about it. The other way, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, is to make sure that we're listening to the communities in that neighborhood, or excuse me, listening to the community members of that neighborhood. I think both of those approaches is very important. And following precedent, as an attorney myself, I think that's really important.
Okay.
All set, Counselor?
Yep.
Great. Counselor Wright.
Thank you. So one thing thank you very much for stepping up. That's a huge deal. But the Newton Historic Commission doesn't necessarily listen or take direction from the residents. They're looking at the building, and the building with the context of the neighborhood and the history of the building. So it's not really the residents is part of it. And preservation is dear to my heart. And unfortunately, we do have some people on Newton Historic commission without any preservation background at all. And that shows. So what preservation background do you have?
Well, I think when I mentioned listening to the residents, I think it's a perspective that you bring to the commission. I'm not somebody who comes in as a quote unquote outsider and thinks he knows everything and about how everything should go and how the commission should vote. It's more about the perspective that I bring as a newer Newton resident. As far as a preservation background itself, that's not something that I have in my professional background. I could speak to some affordable housing projects that I worked on pretty extensively in Atlanta. And that's something that I do cherish, and I think that is really important. But preservation itself is something that's not necessarily part of my professional background, but it is something that I appreciate and value.
Did you think about applying to some of the other community committees that are more in line with your background and your experience?
Yes, I looked at some other commissions. I spoke to them with the mayor and I believe Barney. But this is the commission that we all felt was most suitable.
Surprising. Thank you.
All set? Great. Councilor Getz.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to ask questions when I first spoke, but in hearing the commentary now, all I would suggest is you can be self-taught. There's quite a bit of information. The ordinance is actually pretty prescriptive, in the sense of the criteria and the what qualifies a property for landmarking. So in terms of a judgment, I think that we've gotten to a place with both the demolition delay and landmark ordinance where people, can understand the process and, take the time to appreciate why a building merits landmarking. So, I would suggest please read through the landmark ordinance, and you will see within the document itself, there's quite a bit of information and stipulations and criteria that define what is part of the process of landmarking a property. But thank you, and we'll resolve this. I know at some point.
On the 11th, on or before the 11th.
right.
Councilor Princeman.
Thank you. I want to note that Mr. Salters is a resident of Ward 4, and so I would be pleased to move hold.
All right. Well, we have a motion to hold, but I also have one other hand up. So we'll go to Councilor Maliki.
Oh, hi, thank you. Since this is our opportunity to ask questions. So I'm not on the committee, Mr. Salters, but I watch a lot of historical commission meetings. I'm curious, how many meetings have you actually watched?
Watched probably just about 3 or so.
Okay, and you made it through the whole thing because they can get quite long.
They're very long.
Yeah.
They're very long. I read through some of the reports that they've posted publicly. I don't think there was one for this most recent year, but I have become familiar with the work of the commission.
Yeah, so I'm curious, what is your impression of the sort of the adequacy of our ordinance in terms of actually preserving historic houses? And what would you, if you have a sense of what changes you would like to see to actually preserve more houses?
That's something that I would have to get back to you on, and I would happy to review that and get back to you on that answer.
Yeah, I'd be interested as you're coming in as a fresh viewpoint. And it seems like we have, what, a week or so before?
Till the 11th.
Yeah,
correct.
right, yeah. Thank you. I don't know, you probably noticed the sense of frustration among some of the historical commission members about their power to actually accomplish anything. And we, the city council, I hope will
actually do more next term. So it'd be interesting to know what your thoughts are on what would help.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
fair. Thank you.
Fantastic. All set, Counselor? Great. All right, we have a motion to hold this item. Mr. Salters, apologies for the confusion here in the item as it's written up. But with that said, we have a motion from Counselor Krinsman to hold the item. All those in favor of a hold, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Fantastic, that item is held. We will be taking this back up on the 11th. Hopefully we can get this cleared up post haste. And if we do ahead of time, we'll certainly let you know as well, Mr. Salters. All right, with that said, for the appointees that are still with us, as Councilor Baker has noted before, these items will go to the full council at our next opportunity, which as of right now is on the 11th, after the ZAP meeting, which will happen before that on the 11th. You're more than welcome to join us at that session or not. As was mentioned before, generally the recommendations of the committee are upheld. Sorry, I have a hand. Councilor Baker.
So I'm sorry, because I had to duck out. I missed the vote on the Conservation Commission appointment. Can I just be included in that? Right, I assume that.
As a vote?
Yes.
I'll move reconsideration so that we could include Counselor Baker in the vote.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. All those, let me go back to the item number just real quickly here. Conservation Commission item 215-25. We have a motion to reconsider. I will consider that a motion to approve, I believe is the right way to look at a motion to reconsider. This is the appointment of Sean McAmoe to the Conservation Commission. I believe he's still with us. Yep, there he is. And with that said, I'd like to ensure that everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Fantastic. Well done. We have another full approval.
Wait, no. I think Counselor Krinsman has to move approval again. We just reconsidered the vote. Now we have to have the vote.
They're separate.
Yes.
Okay.
So we approved the motion to reconsider. Now let's reconsider it and I'll move approval.
Fantastic. We have a motion to approve 215-25, appointment of Sean McAmoe to the Conservation Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Fantastic. Unanimous vote there. Thank you, Councilor Baker, and thank you for the clarification, Councilor Albright. I do appreciate it. All right, so I think our business tonight is now complete. Thank you all. You have a lovely night. And for those appointees that are still with us, thank you again for being willing to serve.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you for being over.
Bye.
My pleasure.